welcome to businesstraining.com. Today's video module is focused on Title VII of the Civil Rights Act and religious discrimination. This is our agenda for the video topic today. Please take a moment to review the outline. Title VII of the Civil Rights Act prohibits the discrimination of individuals because of their religion in employment practices, such as hiring, firing, and other terms and conditions of employment. Employers may not treat employees more or less favorably based on their religion. It also requires employers to reasonably accommodate the sincerely held religious practices of an employee or prospective employee, unless doing so would create an undue hardship on the employer. Employers may not simply refuse to accommodate an employee. This federal law applies only to employers of more than 15 employees. Religious determination is not based on whether the religion is legitimate or traditional, but whether the belief is sincere. There are numerous requirements placed on employers when dealing with religion in the workplace. Employers cannot require employees to participate or refrain from participation in a religious activity as a condition of employment. Employers must make a good faith attempt to meet an employee's religious needs through reasonable accommodations, and employees must work with the employer to find the best reasonable accommodation. Reasonable accommodations may vary, including needing a particular day off each year for a religious holiday, refraining from work every week on the observed Sabbath, having a place to pray, swapping shifts, voluntary assignment substitutions, or flexible scheduling. Employers may also need to relax ordinary dress codes to accommodate religious garbs unless it would cause an undue hardship or safety issue. For example, if a uniform is required and an employee desires to wear a headscarf as part of a religious observance, but they work around heavy machinery, it would be considered a safety hazard to have loose clothing around machinery and may not be accommodated. Beards also must be allowed for religious reasons unless it is in the interest of safety or hygiene. Employers are not required to accommodate the first request of the employee, but instead may choose an alternative accommodation that still meets the needs of the employee but incurs less of a cost of implementation to the employer. Employers are also obligated to try in good faith to resolve any conflict between an employee's religious needs and beliefs and the job requirements. If an accommodation cannot be granted, the employer must identify an actual monetary or administrative expense to the employee. The Supreme Court has ruled that employers do not need to violate a valid labor contract, force other employees to work undesirable shifts, or hire substitute or replacement workers if an employee's accommodation would require more than minimal monetary cost. An undue hardship means that an employer need not incur more than minimal costs in order to accommodate an employee's religious practices, though minimal cost is not directly defined. It is dependent on the employer and the type and size of the business in which the accommodated employee works. The Equal Employment Opportunity Commission has interpreted that an employer can show a requested accommodation causes an undue hardship if accommodating the practice requires more than ordinary administrative costs, diminishes the efficiency of other jobs, infringes on employees' job rights or benefits, impairs workplace safety, causes coworkers to carry the accommodated employee's share of potentially hazardous or burdensome work, or if the proposed accommodation conflicts with another law or regulation. Religious harassment on the basis of religious beliefs is prohibited. There are two types of harassment in regards to religion in the workplace. The first is hostility harassment, which is when an employee is antagonized, ridiculed, or harassed because of his or her beliefs by coworkers or supervisors, usually with the intent to offend the employee. Proselytizing harassment arises when a coworker or supervisor preaches to an employee and the employee perceives that behavior to be unwanted and offensive, even if it was unintentional or meant to be innocent. It is an employer's obligation to take steps to prevent the religious harassment of the employees. Employers can be held liable for a hostile work environment if an employee's coworkers are create a hostile work environment through religious harassment and the employer knew or should have known of the harassment and failed to act promptly and implement appropriate corrective actions. If a supervisor is the one responsible for creating a hostile work environment, then the employer will be held liable. A hostile work environment is established only when the workplace is permeated with discriminatory intimidation, ridicule, and insult that is sufficiently severe or persuasive to alter the conditions of the victim's employment and create an abusive working environment. Simple teasing, offhand comments, and isolated incidents do not amount to discriminatory changes in the terms and conditions of employment. Employees are required to tell employers about their religious commitments at the time of job acceptance or immediately upon becoming observant or aware of the need for an accommodation. The employee must be clear when explaining the need for an accommodation and clearly state the reasons due to religious beliefs. Employees are protected from retaliation from employers under Title VII when asserting their rights, such as opposing any unlawful practice by filing a charge, testifying, assisting, or participating in a Title VII proceeding or investigation. Employers may allow participation in prayer groups as long as it is voluntary and there are no employment-related consequences, such as favoritism for promotions or pay raises for choosing to participate or not to participate. Employees should be permitted to engage in private religious expression in personal work areas that are not regularly open to the public to the same extent that they may engage in other non-religious private expression, such as decorating a cubicle, as long as the expression is subject to reasonable content and does not interfere with the company carrying out its official responsibilities. If you would like more information on religion in the workplace, please go to the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission website at the following link. Thank you once again for your time and attention, and this is businesstraining.com, where you can earn a master's level qualification to make more money.